Claire grew up in a family of dentists, and from a young age she did not need anything. Her parents, professionals in their field, have always put a priority on good treatment of patients, high quality of work and affordable prices. That is why they decided to open their own dental clinic. Their patient flow only increased year by year and brought in a considerable income. By the time Claire was born, her family could afford to live in splendid conditions of living, travel to expensive resorts, buy fashionable clothes and shoes. When it came to the question of enrolling in university, Claire's parents, as it often happens in doctors' families, were confident that their daughter would follow in their footsteps, but the girl had other plans. Claire easily got into the best law school in the country and returned home with a law degree. She found a job as an intern at a high-profile law firm and soon, showing good character, was accepted on the staff. A year was enough for her to gain not only experience, but also a name. Claire was glad she did not make a mistake in her choice of profession. Her clients were often ordinary, not wealthy people who were victims of coincidence, and she always tried to do everything to restore justice. And after one of the trials, where Claire proved that her client was not guilty of the accident, she met with Logan. He came to support his friend who had been accused of causing the accident, and after the trial he came over to thank her. He looked at the girl so admiringly that she immediately believed in the sincerity of his words. Thus began their romance. Logan turned out to be a clever and kind man, but he immediately told her that he was not rich, lived with his mother with a disability and two sisters who were still in school. He had studied programming, but dropped out to support his family. He understood he was not a good match for Claire and would have put up with her refusal, but Claire felt that he was the only one she needed in her life. Soon she insisted that Logan meet her parents. He did not hide his fears about it, as he knew that they would not be pleased with him. But Claire almost dragged him by force to dinner at her parents' house, and, to Logan's great surprise, the evening passed in a warm and friendly atmosphere, and Claire's parents immediately accepted him as their own son. Shortly thereafter, Claire suggested that Logan move in with her. She was a little afraid that everyday life would ruin their relationship, but things got even better because Logan carefully took care of Claire. "Are you going to get married?" Claire's father asked Logan once. "Yes, as soon as I can get back on my feet and provide for us completely. So far my salary only suffices for living expenses," replied Logan. "You know, Logan," the mother stepped in, "when Claire's father and I got married, we didn't even have enough money for food. So it's not an argument," she added, putting an end to the discussion. Soon Logan and Claire got married. Claire knew that Logan was very nervous because almost all the wedding costs were paid by her parents. He was very uncomfortable, but Claire's father made it clear that they loved their daughter just as much as he did, so the wedding had to be a wonderful event. Logan really wanted to be the main breadwinner in the family, and Claire was always amazed at this male character trait in him. The man who grew up without a father, surrounded by women, behaved like a true man, and Claire appreciated it very much. She also became very close to Logan's mother and sisters, and even secretly helped them to buy the girls' clothes, shoes and other gifts. They refused at first, but Claire managed to talk them out of it. Of course, Logan was aware of everything, but his sisters were so happy that he had to put up with it. The only thing that Claire failed at was pleasing Logan's mother. "No need, honey, don't buy me anything. You already do a lot for us," she used to say to Claire. "You just know that Logan loves you very much and cherishes you." Logan was working more and more, but he realized that he was far away from Claire's salary. Claire constantly told him that money was not essential because she was happy with him and they had enough to live on. But Logan could not calm down, and he continued to come home late from work and even sometimes worked on weekends. One day, Logan told Claire about the idea of his own business. She found it reasonable, but it took a long time to talk him out of taking a bank loan. And after all, he agreed to borrow money from her parents, who happily supported her son-in-law and gave him the full amount right away. Logan fully immersed himself in the new business, worked hard, but after 2 months it turned out that his assistants had just deceived him in the most cowardly way, taking advantage of his inexperience and trustfulness. Logan became bankrupt. He had long been unable to recover from the failure, and then he returned to various part-time jobs. The man barely spoke to Claire, only firmly hugged her in the evenings as if to relieve himself. Upon learning of what had happened, Claire's parents supported their son-in-law, advising him to stop and keep looking for other business options, and promising to provide the necessary help. And Logan was always in search and working to the point of exhaustion. He was so tired that Claire sometimes feared for his health. His search for a job, his guilt over Claire for not giving her the kind of life she deserved, was eating the man up. Now the couple rarely talked, even more rarely went out, neither to visit friends nor to the theatre or to the cinema. Claire did not even start talking about it. She tried to make sure that Logan at least got a good night's sleep and ate some food. The man was always pale, looked tired, and lost even more weight. Even Claire's parents had noticed this, and her mother advised him to have an examination, but Logan categorically refused. He assured her that everything was fine, and as soon as his new business was up and running, everything would be back to normal. Claire's father offered that his son-in-law to take the money for the development, but this time Logan flatly refused, referring to the fact that he had not returned the previous debt. When Logan and Claire remained alone, Logan spoke to his wife for the first time in a high-pitched tone. "That's it. I will not take any more money from your parents. I no longer have any respect for myself, and I feel that you, Claire, despise me," he said so sharply that Claire shuddered. From that day on, he completely isolated himself from her. He only came home for the night and even stopped visiting his mother and sisters. They, like Claire, did not understand what was wrong, but they also began to suspect that something was going on with Logan, and it was not because of the failures in business. Claire could not allow the idea that her husband had another woman, because there was no more honest and decent man in the world. Claire's head was constantly bursting with all sorts of assumptions, especially when her husband increasingly secluded himself in another room to talk on the phone. Worries about her husband occupied Claire so much that it began to reflect negatively on her work. Once she almost lost a case, and only at the last moment was able to pull herself together and bring the line of defense to the winning end. That was the last straw. Claire left the courtroom and headed straight home. When she opened the door, she immediately realized that her husband was home and talking to someone on the phone. She unwittingly overheard Logan refusing some kind of surgery. "Thank you for everything you have done for me, but I don't have opportunity for this right now," Logan said farewell. Claire, realizing that something bad had happened to her husband, she burst into the room and desperately demanded him to tell her the whole truth. But she had not expected how cruel this truth would turn out to be. Immediately after his first unsuccessful attempt at business, Logan felt a severe headache. Without telling his wife or his mother and sisters, he went to the hospital, where he heard that he had a brain tumour. The doctor prescribed a supportive treatment for Logan, but told him that he needed an expensive operation and that the insurance would not cover it in full. Logan was aware of what would happen if he would not have surgery to remove the tumour, but he continued to take pills and postponed the surgery because he first wanted to establish a new business, which he could bequeath to his wife and his mother with his sisters in case of a bad outcome. And now the doctor said that they cannot wait any longer. Claire was shaking with sobs, but suddenly she stood up sharply and shouted through her tears, "Get dressed! Immediately!" Logan obediently got dressed, ready to do anything to get Claire to stop crying. Not half an hour later, Logan was telling Claire's parents the whole story all over again. The father came to his senses first. "Logan, tell me the truth. Why did you marry our daughter? To make her a widow? Great plan, and you know what? You're just a coward. You give up without a fight. All you have in mind is money. Yes, you didn't earn it right away, but why suffer and agonize over it? Why did you see our help as humiliation? Do you think leaving the woman you love as a widow is something to be proud of?" "All right, Ben, stop it." Claire's mother interrupted him and turned to Logan. "We're going to the hospital right now, and no objections," she said menacingly. Seeing how determined her mother was, Claire was again convinced of how dear Logan was to them. But he kept quiet for a moment, and then said that it was late, and there was no need to go anywhere. "No!" Claire went over to her husband and hugged him tightly. "I have heard the doctor say it wasn't too late." "All right, let's go, quick!" the father sharply commanded. All the way, Claire hugged her husband and whispered to him how much she loved and believed in him. She tried to convince him that she was ready to support him in whatever he was doing, because she knew how important it was to him. But no amount of money would replace her beloved man if he would suddenly be gone. From then on, there was the most difficult 4 months for everyone. Surgery after surgery, a week in the intensive care unit, an unquenchable hope in the eyes of the whole family. And soon the day came when the doctor received the results of the tests and finally pleased his patient. "Well, Logan, let's say goodbye. It's your time to go home." Logan did not immediately grasp the meaning of the doctor's words, and when he heard Claire's happy exclamation, he felt tears of joy fill his eyes. But he was not ashamed of that. He felt ashamed for not believing in himself the way Claire had believed in him, for hiding his pain and weakness from her. If he had confessed right away, everything would have gone much easier for everyone. And then Logan gave himself a firm word that from now on there would always be trust in their relationship, and he would never make her cry and worry again. Happy endings happen not only in fairy tales. There were still many difficult moments in Claire and Logan's life, but there was much more happiness in it. Logan finally set up his business, and it allowed him to send his mother abroad for medical treatment and give his sisters an excellent education. And 3 years later, when the couple had a little daughter who looked so much like Claire, they became truly happy, and nothing could have changed that.